So hello everyone. Welcome back to a new school year. We are very glad that you are joining us today, and we are going to be presenting you with a lot of information, um, all of it around distance learning and what you being the front lines of support for your school sites, what you can do to support parents as they too are trying to navigate this brand new way of schooling, really. So also, this is not going to be the only time that we discuss support around distance learning. This is all very new to everyone. And so I see this as the beginning of a longer conversation, and we're here to make sure you feel supported moving forward, and also in trying to forge an even stronger partnership between the school and the home. And we're just very glad that you're here today. I'm Laura Solis, Director of Special Projects here at the district, for those of you that don't know me or we haven't met. And then we have our two fantastic community services specialists, Stephanie and Rebecca. Do you want to say hello? Wave, Stephanie and Rebecca.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us today.
Rebecca, do you want to say hello? Rebecca, ¿dónde estás? I don't see you. Well, anyway, I'll continue. Maybe she'll hop in and say hello in a little bit. Okay, so first we have a couple of important notes. This session is being recorded. It will be uploaded to the district website, probably under a tab that will say staff. I know they're still building out some pieces of the main web page for the district. And so this, along with the PowerPoint presentation, we will make available to you so that you can always go back and revisit. Also, please make sure that you keep your microphones on mute. You can unmute when you have questions, but we're going to try to save those to the end because we do have a Q&A section. And again, we have quite a bit of time together today. We're here until 11. So we're going to try to make sure that that's a productive and full morning for you. There is a chat function, and Stephanie is going to be helping me monitor that. And so you can type your questions away during the presentation. And again, we'll have time at the end to address them. You can also email us anytime. Maybe there's something that sparks your interest or you just have a question. You can, of course, do that anytime. And just remember that classes do start on August 24th. Okay, I think I have a couple more people that I'm going to admit into the room, so give me a second. Hello, welcome, welcome everybody. We're going to get started with taking attendance. And so we're going to do an icebreaker. So in the chat, please type your name, first name, last name, and your school site. And also, we'd like to know what TV show lately is your current guilty pleasure. Gonna give everybody a minute to respond. And Stephanie, I'm gonna ask you to be my eyes because I cannot see the chat function from here. So once you feel we have a good 23 or so responses, please let me know. By the way, your names in the chat, because we're recording them, that's what we're going to use. So Anita is currently doing a PRF because we know that for some of you, this may not be the traditional work day, but she does want to make sure you're compensated for your time. So we're very grateful that you're here today. Okay, We're gonna move on to the next slide. So here are our goals for today. The first is to give you some information about the use of technology as it pertains to distance learning in Garvey School District. The second is to discuss some expectations for the students and the parents during distance learning. We're also going to explore some Google tools to keep you engaged and organized, but particularly it's that engagement piece. How do you stay connected with the community? And then we will have a couple of activities here and there. And then we're just gonna also just check in with you to see how are you feeling about things? So, you know, how are things going so far? Do you feel that you're in the loop? And also what can we do to support you? So first things first, I wanted to show you, let me see if this pops up, the acceptable use of technology form. Hopefully you can see this. Can everybody see the form? Can you give me a thumbs up, Stephanie, because I'm watching you. Great. So here is the acceptable use of technology form. This form is given to every student. Again, you'll have the links to it embedded within the presentation. This presentation, you will receive it. But just know that this acceptable use form is included in the registration process. So what it is the rules and expectations that every student and parent need to know about when they accept a district provided device, whether it's a Chromebook, a laptop, a hotspot, whatever it is. This form, we just want you to be aware of it. It has already been mailed home, and it's also been emailed, and it will also be posted on the website. You'll notice that at the bottom, there is or the parents might notice that there is a signature, I believe, piece. Just know that at this point, if parents ask, do we need to sign and send? At this time, we do not need them to sign and send anything. This is a passive agreement, which means that the district will assume that they agree with the contents if they are accepting district provided technology. So that's the form. It does outline some important responsibilities about student behavior, how they should be respectful during distance learning. One thing that parents and students need to know up front is that a student may not record a lesson, whether it's on their phone or whether it's on, you know, the way that we're doing it now. They cannot record lessons without first obtaining permission from their teacher and the principal. Okay? And also, this form also tells parents that they may also be subject to discipline if there is misbehavior. So pretty much the same rules for behavior would apply during distance learning as they would in any classroom. There's also some other important components around like privacy and reporting consequences that we should all become familiar with. So this form is posted on the main website, so you should read it just in case there's questions. Okay, I'm going to admit a couple more people while I move on to the next slide. Okay, so Lauren has just joined us, a couple of other people. All right, so now we are going to talk a little bit about what's different now. This is another question that we think you're going to get a lot, just because we've been fielding the same question, which is what is so different about now as compared to what happened in the spring when there were school closures. And so there's a big difference. This is no longer what we were trying out in the spring with very kind of loose expectations, a lot of review. We were expecting it to be over in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks, and before you knew it, we're still here. So essentially what happened is that on June 29th, Governor Gavin Newsom signed Senate Bill 98 into law. And this law includes distance learning and in-person instruction for this school year. And so the new law defines distance learning as instruction in which the student and teacher are in different locations, but they're still under the general supervision of a certificated employee. The law also states that districts have to document daily participation of each student on each school day. So now there is a process where we are every day expecting students to log on, and that's how we take attendance. So if the student doesn't participate in distance learning, then they are marked absent. So our district has to document this student involvement. It's also worth repeating that regular attendance and participation are as essential during distance learning as they are during traditional in-person schooling. So the answer is yes, students have to show up every day and log on to with their teacher. So that's the new law, that's the main difference. And then we start getting into the actual use of technology. This is where we wanted to support you and spend a little bit of time reviewing some of the technology. Why? Because as you know, in the spring, Anita really wanted to set up a bridge between ETI, LSS, and the parents. We knew that there were a lot of questions around just the newness of distance learning. And as you know, we ended up creating a distance learning hotline to support parents. So another big difference that we're going to do is that we realized that at the district level, we were fielding obviously so many questions that we ourselves did not have sometimes the answers to, because they were so specific to each school site. And so what we know we have to do is now sort of replicate that effort and to allow the principal, the teacher, and the school coordinator to really work together to be able to reach out to parents more directly, rather than us having to field all schools. And so part of that process is going to be to actually empower you and to make sure that you feel capable and confident that you have the information. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And we don't want you to get too nervous about it because we know it's a lot of work, but we also want to make sure that you know that we are going to hold your hand, at least virtually, right? We know we can't touch each other, but we do want to make sure that we have this ongoing support for you. So one of the things that we talk to parents about is that we want them obviously to have all the right tools. So last year, the district gave out more than 3,000 devices. And this school year, the challenge was, well, let's get those new devices in everybody's hands for all of the new students. That would be TK, kinder, and any new students that are not from, that they're new to the communities. And so the district is also going to provide, as you know, or probably know, backpacks. And so every student gets a backpack with materials, their kind of consumables, their workbooks, any supplies that they need. Those are going to be distributed if they haven't been already. And at the end of this session, maybe we can talk a little bit about how that's going, the distribution. Parents have been asking questions as well about that. So the right technology is essential, but also setting up the right learning environment at home is just as important. And so we wanted to make sure that we have some tips for parents at home, because especially challenging are those homes that have multiple kids, and there's quite a few, and they're all trying to log on at the same time. Or they have the parent that is also telecommuting from home, and they're also trying to get on, right? So it's going to be very important to support parents and to encourage them as much as possible to be very intentional and very consistent about the spots that they're choosing for each of their kids. It has to be a quiet space as much as possible, well-lit areas, free of distractions. And, you know, we've been reminding parents that, as you know, and sometimes they don't think about it up front, but we remind them that anything that the teacher can see on the screen, all the other kids can also see on the screen, including everything that's happening behind us, right? So teachers are also working on encouraging students to set up, for example, a virtual background. If you see mine, like there's nothing behind me, literally it's just a white wall with a couple of pictures, so that's not as distracting. But you can imagine if I had the dog barking and my little baby brother, and then the parents walking back and forth, or the other students kind of trying to distract the rest of it. It's just a major distraction. So helping to kind of promote that is going to be, you're going to be key in that as well. Okay, so one other thing, let me see, one other thing that is going home in the backpack is a daily school schedule. So we wanted to really spend some time going over this with you, because we know that there are a lot of questions. And remember, I just talked about what is different now than in the spring. So this is one of the pieces that is very different. Now every school teacher needs to have communicated their daily schedule for their students. So what I'm showing you right now is just an example. Not all teachers will have this setup, but they may. So one of the concepts that we're trying to get people to understand is that the memorandum of understanding with teachers, and in concert with the SB 98 law, there are some minimum live instruction hours. And if you can imagine, the younger that the student is, for the less hours of live instruction, the less time that they're required to be in front of the screen, which is called live interaction. It's also called synchronous instruction. You've probably heard of that, versus asynchronous. If it starts with the asynchronous, that means that it's offline, not necessarily in front of the screen. Okay, so this is an example of first through a third grade. Again, TKK will look a little different. We'll show you an example of what middle school will look like in the next slide. So again, just an example. So here you see that the teacher is expecting, let's say that this is a second grader, the student to be ready at 8:30 in the morning. Okay, that means that this student has to be in front of the screen with the computer on and their ELA materials ready, because the teacher will be taking attendance. And After the first live lesson, you notice that it's a 30-minute, this teacher chose to do 30 minutes. You'll notice that there's a little break before the next live lesson, which is math, that starts at 9:30. The purpose of this little break time is not only to allow the student to kind of do to practice their assignment, whatever lesson that the teacher was working on, but it also allows the child to rest their eyes away from the screen just a little bit. It gives them an opportunity to stretch, but also the teacher may choose to put all of the students, particularly if they're working on something like Zoom, the teacher can then put their students inside of a waiting room and a virtual waiting room while she chooses to work with maybe a small group or one-on-one with some kids. So the teacher can choose to do something else with their time, and all kids are doing offline assignments. That's kind of the setup. Obviously, it's very different from in-person instruction, and that's something that is very key. We want you to also know that, and this was very important for parents, because they're going to ask you, well, what if my kid needs help, or what if I have questions and I need to speak to the teacher, not just like email? So the answer to that is every teacher will have virtual office hours. So that doesn't mean that anybody can just show up. This teacher decided to have 1 hour at 12 o'clock, but they could have it at 1, they could have it at 2. Just depends. And so the parents would get a hold of the teacher, email them, or maybe they email you or call you, and then you would let the teacher know about that appointment. Why do I say that? Just out of experience, sometimes parents, you know this, may not feel very comfortable or may not speak the same language as the teacher, so they seek other people to refer them or to support them. Okay, so just know that maybe you may have to be make yourself available possibly to run some translation here and there. They may ask for that. So just wanted to make sure that you knew about the virtual office hours. You'll notice too that on Wednesdays, and this is standard for everybody in the district, on Wednesdays, teachers they have a little less time to do live instruction. So all students, this is the important thing to realize though, every student, 100% of the students must check in with their teacher because we're still taking attendance. However, on Wednesdays, not all students will remain possibly online with the teacher unless the teacher wants it to be that way. That Wednesday is reserved for things like enrichment, small group instruction, maybe they're rotating little groups throughout the morning, some sort of intervention, assessment, those kinds of things. And so the teacher may keep them for a little while and then let them do their homework and catch up and all those things without having to be on the screen. And then the teacher then moves on and has their collaboration time with other teachers. This is when they do lesson planning sort of for the rest of the day. So that's an example of the elementary school schedule. An important note, this is only during distance learning, obviously. Here's an example, and it's actually not even an example. This is exactly what Garvey and Temple are going to be doing. So different than the elementary schools, here this is set, okay? This is exactly what it'll look like. You'll notice that we are doing block scheduling. All that means is that the subject matter is going to be taught all in one block, okay, in once a week or twice a week, whatever, rather than once daily. So the block periods, you notice on Mondays and Thursdays, block periods 1, 2, and 3 are only taught Mondays and Thursdays, and then block period 4, 5, and 6, Tuesdays and Fridays. So for example, block period 1 is art, let's say an elective. Period 2 is math. Period 3 is, science. So those 3 subjects are only taught on Mondays and Thursdays without any variation. Okay. So
I
that's
have a
what the block.
question.
Yes.
I have for Temple, our schedule is different.
Okay. Can
For
you tell me
Temple,
about that?
we have 8 periods. So on Wednesday, instead of just doing individual small group, we have 7 and 8 period from first period and second period, and then third period's collaboration. So our schedule is different from Garvey's.
Okay. So the thank you for telling me, Vero. The exact like whatever periods are going to be and how they are configured is based on the block schedule. So they're not doing daily. So parents should expect that whatever it looks like, it's going to be block period with
Okay.
those 50 minutes, um, you know, attached to them. They're
Yeah,
no
because
less, they're no less.
if the parent sees this like as a Temple parent, well, they're going to, oh, the kids don't have anything on Wednesday, but actually they have 7 and 8 period till 11 o'clock.
Okay, so again, whatever the parent sees is what they are supposed to stick to. So
Okay.
remember that even with the elementary, what each teacher designs their own. So I would imagine that at Temple and Garvey, although this is the main blueprint, there may be a little bit of variation, and they may have changed it since they gave us this. Okay.
Okay.
So, and one
Okay.
thing, just know that when we were doing the presentations, we just did them on Friday for parents. That was one session. I think we had almost 300 parents show up. We told them these are just the kind of the skeleton. What it actually looks like, you as a parent need to understand and review what's in that backpack, what your teacher also give them. And also the teachers may have, especially the elementary teachers, we're trying to get teachers to understand, please don't change it on the parents, right? Be consistent. But the teachers do have flexibility to change it around. The key is to make sure that they tell their parents, what needs to be expected. So the other thing that we've been told, right, is that the Wednesdays are going to be kind of that sacred time, whether you choose to have a couple of periods there or just do intervention groups or whatever, that's on the teacher. But as a kind of as the school itself, that's the time when teachers are going to also be expected to plan, collaborate, have some PD, whatever it is. They have some time. They don't have to be working the full day online. So that's kind of the through line. And you'll also notice that they also have these the virtual office hours as well. So again, there may be a little variation, but pretty much that is what you should expect. And the trick for the coordinators is, as we were discussing earlier, make sure that you're familiar. If you can get a copy of everybody's schedule, that would be great. Okay, so we are now moving on to the actual, what is this technology like? So first of all, the parents are all should be aware that they either have a Chromebook or a laptop. And it's been our experience that sometimes the parents don't even know what the difference is. So for starters, we're letting parents know that they need to figure out which one is which. And believe it or not, we've had to, in our training, include how to turn on, not just the computer, but really how to log on. And so you'll notice that in your PowerPoint, you have an embedded link that will explain to the parents and to you, if you need to know this. And I don't know how clearly you can see this, but you'll see that it walks them through how to log in, and it makes it very clear that to log in as a student, the format is birthday, day, year. It also walks them through all of the steps of connecting to their Wi-Fi. I can't tell you how many hundreds of calls we had in our hotlines from parents that could not even get through this step. It was probably, Stephanie and Rebecca, correct me if I'm wrong, one of the most popular situations that would come up. Am I correct, ladies?
Yes, it
Yes.
was. So we need to help them figure out how to help
Yeah.
them. So it's very helpful to have them know if it's a laptop or if it's a Chromebook too. So.
Mm-hmm. And so you'll have also some instructions as to how to log in to the main apps that take you to the platforms that the teacher wants to use. So all of those instructions are there. We're going to see some of these in action, but I just wanted you to know where these are housed. Okay, so let me get out of here. And let's move on to the next thing. So this next piece is clever. Another very popular question. So if you were asking yourself, well, what is clever? So clever is just a way for the student to access all of the applications. It's a hub, if you will, of all the applications that they use at the school. And it allows them to just access all of those apps with just their password and a single username. So here they have things like Benchmark Education, which is the elementary language arts, Think Central, which has the elementary math. Big Ideas Math is also accessible through here. FOSS, which is science. iStation, Better Immersion, and iChinese are all the dual language apps. And then you have the assessment pieces like iReady. You also have the platform for Zoom already pre-loaded there, as well as the teacher pages and others. They may vary depending on what the teacher wants for that child to access. So there are 2 videos here. One to show you how to log into Clever, and you'll have an opportunity to review these videos. They're also on the district page, webpage under distance learning resources. There's a tab under distance learning resources, and you could follow along at a slower pace, but I'm going to show you the videos right now, and hopefully you can hear the sound. So here is logging into Clever.
In order to log into Clever, first open a Google Chrome browser. Once Google Chrome is open, go to the very top and find the blue icon with the letter C. Click on the blue icon, and that should redirect you to the Garvey School District Clever Login portal. Click on Login with Google, and select the student email that ends with @gesd.us. If you do not see an email that ends with @gesd.us, click on Use Another Account and type the email. Click Next. Enter the password. Click Next. And that should now redirect you to the Clever portal. If you do not see a blue icon at the very top, go directly to the address bar and type clever.com/in/GESD and click Enter. And now that should take you to the Garvey School District Clever Login portal.
So these videos that we're showing you are done in multiple languages. So we have English, we have Spanish, we have Vietnamese, and Chinese. It's Mandarin, correct, Rebecca? Okay, so in here, the next one that we're going to watch is the overview of Clever. So one was to log in, the other one's the overview.
In order to log into Clever, first open a Google Chrome browser. Once Google Chrome is open, go to the very top and find the blue icon with the letter C. Click on the blue icon, and that should redirect you to the Garvey School District Clever Login portal. Click on Login with Google and select the student email that ends with @gesd.us. If you do not see an email that ends with @gesd.us, click on Use Another Account and type the email. Click Next. Enter the password. Click Next. And that should now redirect you to the Clever portal. If you do not see...
I actually don't know if this was the right one. Rebecca and Stephanie, do you know if this was the right one? I don't know if it was hyperlinked correctly. We'll come back after the break. I want to make sure that I show you the right one because we do have it. And I'll show you where you can also, they're all uploaded. But I think just the hyperlink was not correct. Okay, we'll come back to it because I really want you to be able to see it. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next piece, which is Google Classroom. So just a show of hands, how many of you are familiar with Google Classroom and comfortable with it? Well, it's kind of hard to see when you guys don't have your cameras on, but that's okay. It's quite okay because we're going to, thank you. So we're going to, it's all right. We don't want you to reveal yourselves if you're feeling vulnerable, it's okay. But we want you to be able to understand not necessarily what the teacher is doing or how to set up your own Google Classroom. You don't need to understand that necessarily those steps yet, unless you want to, and we want to encourage you to be brave and try out your own Google Classroom. That's coming later. Right now, we just want to show you what you as a coordinator or as a support staff would need to know to help the parent navigate. Because what the parent and the student see, obviously, is different than what the teacher sees on their screen. And we want you to understand, well, what is it that the students are seeing? So if that makes sense, you want to think about Google Classroom as the child's digital link to learning. So teachers use Google Classroom to share assignments, homework, newsletters, bulletins, videos, much, much more with the students and the parents. So By the way, that is the Garvey Learning Management System. Everybody's going to be using Google Classroom. So students can email their teacher using Google Classroom, and a lot of parents ask that, well, like, how is my teacher communicating with my student if they're offline? Well, they're emailing them. Students can also check assignments. They can turn in assignments. They can check their grades. The parents can also receive something called the summary report if they sign up to receive those reports. It won't happen automatically, but they can if they receive it. I'm admitting more people into the classroom. Okay, we have a few more people joining us. Okay, so there are 2 videos here, and hopefully we have linked them correctly. One is to show you how to log into Google Classroom, and one is to show you an overview of Google Classroom. And again, you'll have time to review these videos again because we'll make those available to you. So here's the first one, accepting Google Invite.
In this video, we are going to see how your student can accept the invitation for Google Classroom in 2 different ways. First things first, your student must be logged in to their school account. Please make sure that their Google is set up under their gesd.us account. If it's logged into anything else, they will not see this invitation. The first way that a student can accept a Google Classroom invitation is through their email. They simply click on Gmail. Once there, they're going to see an invitation pop up. It's going to say, so-and-so has invited you to join their class. They can scroll down and click on this blue join button. Oh, sorry, got it. They can click on this blue join button. Now, the second way that a student can accept a Google Classroom invitation is by simply heading over. Let me open a new tab here. By simply heading over to their Google Classroom. To do so, just like how you were accessing Google Classroom as a teacher, they can click on the waffle iron here and they can click on Classroom. Okay. Once they're going to see the same invitation pop up. They're going to see for example, the demo class pop up, and instead of it saying, as the email stated, has invited you to join the class, this is going to have 2 button options. Obviously, for them to join the class, they're going to go ahead and click join. So once they have joined their class, they're going to be able to see whatever updates you posted for them, whatever their classwork is, as well as who's in their class. So those are the 2 ways that a student can join Google Classroom. They can either accept the invitation through their dashboard on Google Classroom, and this is the dashboard, or they can accept the invitation through their email. For the littles, it might be easier just to go directly to the Google Classroom dashboard. For upper grades, if you want to start showing them how to use their email, that's probably a different way as well for you.
Okay. And now let's do an overview of Google Classroom.
In this video, we are going to go over the Classwork tab in Student View. Depending on what the setting that your teacher applied to the stream of your Google Classroom, you'll be able to see not only the updates that the student, depending on the setting that the teacher may have chosen for the stream, the student may be able to see the updates and the posts that the teacher adds to the Google Classroom, along with a preview of what the assignment that the teacher has posted is. Okay, but to really take a look at the classwork, the student is going to go ahead and click on classwork and be able to see the assignment. Now, if there's assignments that are not complete, they're going to showcase in a dark green or solid color. As soon as the assignment is completed, it's going to change the color of the image, of the icon here. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that afterwards. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and click on the assignment to take a look what I have to complete as a student. On here, you'll be able to see a preview. You'll be able to see the instructions. You can also take a look as to how exactly my assignment is going to be graded. So I'm going to take a look at the rubric. So now I know what I need to focus in on. If I want all of my points, I need to make sure I use complete sentences, and so on and so forth. Okay, so for right now, I'm going to go ahead and exit. Okay. And on here, I can take a look and see that there's a template, there's a page that I need to use to complete this assignment. Okay. To open this, I can easily click on the assignment hyperlink, and it's going to go ahead and take me to the page that my teacher would like me to use. Let's go ahead and go back to the Google Classroom, because there's two ways of accessing the assignments. I can easily just click on the assignments that are linked on the preview for this, or I can click View Assignment. When I click View Assignment, I will be able to not only see what my teacher wants me to complete, but I would also be able to add or create something. So for example, let's say that I don't just have to submit my Google Doc, but my teacher's also asking me, draw a picture to go along with your writing. Perfect. I draw my picture, I take a picture of my drawing, and to attach anything, I can upload a file. Maybe it's a file that's on my computer or that I saved onto my drive. I can click and attach it. I can also, maybe I did my drawing on Google Drawing, so I can attach a Google Drawing through there as well. Or maybe along with my writing, I have to provide a slide deck presentation. So if there is anything that I need to add onto my assignment for it to be complete, this is where I would go. I would click Add or Create. Choose Google Drive if something has been uploaded onto my drive. Click File if it's a picture that's saved on my computer that I need to add. Or click Link. Maybe I created a video on Flipgrid or on Screencastify or on whatever platform my teacher assigned me to create a video on, maybe on Loom, and then I would copy that link and attach it here, so that way my teacher gets to see my full assignment. Okay. If I have a question on an assignment, I'm going to go ahead and type in a private comment. That's only going to be a question that my teacher is going to see, and that is it. If I feel like I have a question or a comment, or maybe I found a mistake on the assignment that I feel like the whole class would benefit from, then I would add it under the class comment. Once everything has been completed, I've attached everything that my teacher needs, I can then click Turn In, and wait for my grade. Before I finalize this assignment, I'm going to get this page right here. Are you sure you want to turn in your work? I've only attached the Google Doc, and I need to verify, did I attach anything else? If that's all my teacher is looking for, then I can click turn in. Once my teacher has graded my assignment, up at the top of this page right here, instead of it saying turn in, it's going to reflect a grade based on the rubric that I can see right here. Let's go back to my home page because there's one thing that I want to show. Under classwork, now that my assignment is complete, notice that it is no longer a dark solid color. Now it's a gray silhouette. That means that this assignment has been turned in and I'm just waiting for a grade. Very important to keep track of what assignments you have finished and which ones you have not.
Okay. And finally, we have a video on the parent accepting a guardian summary. Remember, you're going to get a lot of questions probably from parents wanting to know, where can I see my child's work? We kind of already saw a portion of that, but in terms of like, how do I stay engaged as a parent? How do I know how they're doing beyond email? Here is accepting a guardian summary. So we have it on a couple of steps. First, the parent needs to check the email. So this is another very important point. And I think we've seen how essential it is for parents to understand that they need to clean up and make current their most recent information on file at the school. So one of the things that has become, again, like really apparent during distance learning is that because the district, particularly the superintendent's office, is pushing out so much information, not just on the district webpage, but mostly through email. We're not really sending as many things home because obviously we're not on campus, but it's done mainly through email, and that email that they send it to is whatever is on our records. Whether it's a viable email, whether it's updated or old or new, we don't know. And sometimes parents will call the hotline saying, where is this information? When we tell them it was sent to your email, oftentimes, right, Rebecca and Stephanie, what do they tell us? Rebecca, do you want to enlighten us, or Stephanie?
Yes, we've had trouble even just a few weeks ago where parents are not receiving the emails, even with the current updates. So it's very important for them to keep an updated email. Some of the times they do have an updated email that they use, but the emails go to their spam. So trying to figure out all of those situations to make sure that the parents are receiving the emails.
Rebecca, did you want to say anything?
Same with the parent who's calling the Asian language hotline. We have so many parents saying that, I mean, I even have a call just a few days ago. I mean, even yesterday, I have parents saying that they haven't received anything from school side. What should I do? What's next? So we have a lot of existing parents as well as new parents. So this is something that we want to make sure that all the communication channel is clear in order for them to receive. I actually have something on my desk when I come back. So a lot of return mails too.
So, and we really won't know a lot until we actually start school. One of the things that we are waiting to see is who stayed in the community really, and who's going to show up on day one, whether it's virtually or whatever, and who's new to the community, but also who's left, right? Yeah. So we have been getting back some returned email and all of that. So really worth it to help to promote that idea to stay current. Because one of the benefits to that is actually receiving the guardian summary. So the invitation is sent as an email from the teacher to the parent. Whatever email they have, they're going to send them that invitation. There is a setting that the parent can actually set. They can choose how often they want to receive the summary. Some people want it weekly, some people will want it daily, and some people will say, don't send it to me. So what the teachers at Garvey are recommending is that it is done daily. That's the recommendation. And then step 3 is to just receive your classroom summary. And really all it tells the parents is, you know, my son Patrick, they, you know, have turned in this assignment, or they received this assignment. It just kind of gives them a broad outline, but it gives the parent an idea of how the child is doing, so that they can help to co-monitor that piece. So that's in your in the PowerPoint as well. Okay, we are moving on. One of the things, how funny that says recursos. Okay, so one of the things that we have for parents is a reminder that they can go and find on their resources inside of the district webpage. And let me see if, hopefully I can navigate to it very quickly. Here's the Garvey School District. Can you still see my screen, Rebecca? Okay, good, it's working. Sometimes it doesn't work. So here is the main icon that everybody sees upon entering the Garvey School District website. You click here, and then you'll see these other icons that are reminding parents not just of our hotline, but also here are the superintendent's weekly communications for the parents. This is a piece that we are hoping that you as coordinators, especially the coordinators, but any support staff, read what Anita is telling the parents, because that is the key to keeping you informed. And you'll see that the last parent communication was done August 5th. So they're all kind of archived here. So that's a really key idea. The other piece is there's some health and safety things here, social emotional, and then, but here's our tab. This is what we've been talking about. This page is going to be constantly updated. We have the acceptable use of technology agreement form that we went over earlier. And under distance learning resources, we have all of these videos in the multiple languages, and as well as the parent presentations that we did last week. Okay, so they're all there. Which one was the one that we didn't do? Was the overview of Clever Apps? Was that the one that we didn't get to? Okay, so let me try and see if we can get it through here.
Yeah, and I placed the link to that site on the chat.
Okay, good. So let's see if, I think this is it. All right, let me play it and see if we can see it. Can you all see this?
Once the student logs into the Clever portal, they will have access to all the different apps used in daily instruction. Near the top of the page, they will find the teacher page. Here, they can access different resources and websites from their teacher. Under the teacher page, they will be able to find many different apps. Under the Google Apps category, they will find Google Classroom, Google Drive, Gmail, and Google Docs. Google Classroom will be used daily for communication and instruction. Some of the frequently used apps include iReady for language arts and math, Benchmark Education for language arts, and FOSS for science. The apps that are used will depend on grade level and the teacher. Please note that once school starts, the teacher will let the students know which apps and resources they will be using.
Okay, so that was that. So that's where you can find, so this has changed a little bit. But again, the tabs, the steps to get there are the same. Click on the main page, click under distance learning, and then you'll notice those yellow tabs change a little bit, but now you know where you can find those additional videos. Okay. So I think we are going to be exploring some Google tools, but I'm going to give you a very quick stretch break because we have to load some things on here. Let's do a good 10 minutes and then we will come back. Okay, so take a break. We'll see you at about 9:18, 9:19, around there. Okay. Hi, Anita, are you in?
Yes, I am.
Hi, we're
Noticing
on
me
break.
popping in.
We're on break for another like 5 minutes.
Oh,
You came in at
I see. No wonder. No wonder that. Hey, I heard no noise, no sound. Okay, I thought
Yeah.
that it's my computer. So that's quite all right. Okay, so if you don't mind, as you resume the meeting, if I can steal a few minutes of your time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Perfect timing.
So I'm going to stop sharing just to make sure that people
No,
can
which is
see
fine.
you.
You know, I'm okay. I know I don't have anything to show on the PowerPoint. So
Oh, okay. So
yeah,
let
so
me
you can just
get started.
keep the PowerPoint. That's quite all right with me.
Okay. No worries.
All right, okay.
Let me just load it back up. Okay.
So Lauda,
Sure.
when you
Yeah.
so you're recording the session, right?
I stopped recording it, I think, during break.
Oh,
No, I
okay,
think
sure.
it is recording. I think it is recording
Okay,
still.
not a problem. No, well, actually, you can stop recording during break. You know.
Oh, okay.
Or else we can, or else we might have.
So we're going to resume our presentation. I hope you had a nice break. That was so nice to see our superintendent give some words of inspiration. I know we need it for sure. So let's continue with our learning, but before we do that, I know that there are some questions in the chat box, and I want to take just a moment to go over some, as many as we could, answer up to this point. So either Rebecca or Stephanie, if you want to tell me what the
I think we've been answering them as we're going.
Okay.
One that might be still in the confusion is what emails are the teachers sending their progress to?
What email are
What parent email are they sending the progress reports to?
the progress? You mean the Google summaries?
Right. Yeah.
Whatever the parent either has on file, or if the parent somehow gets a hold of the teacher and says, give me, send it to this address and not whatever other address.
Right.
So it's really up to the parent.
Right. And then to follow up on that, another question was if only the teacher is able to send that progress report.
Yes, only the teachers.
And then
let me add to that. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me add to that. I do have parent requesting the teacher because sometimes it's the teacher. Lauda, I'm not sure if this year it is mandatory for the teacher to put a summary up for the parent. Is this mandatory? Do you know? Because last year, I do see some teacher who did not have that setting, and parent have to ask, take the initiative to ask the teacher in order to get the summary.
Not quite sure, Rebecca, so we'll have to take a look at it. One thing that I wanted to share with the participants today is all of your questions we're archiving from the chat room. So any questions that we can't answer because it's something that Anita has to answer, something that Renee has to answer, or the teachers, the principals, we will make sure that you have all of those answers. Somehow we'll put a FAQ document together and make sure that we get the right answers for you. We certainly don't want to confuse you.
Yeah. Yeah, like one question that we might have to follow up on was, I guess some parents use a different domain that is not a common domain for their emails, and a non-Gmail domain. So we're going to have to ask Mr. Torres if the progress reports could be accepted through any email domain. So unless, Laura, you know, we would probably have to follow up with Mr. Rudy Torres.
I don't know that, but I do know that there have been glitches. Google plays along well with Google. So a Google Classroom does very well with a Gmail address. So I know that some folks have just created a separate Google or Gmail account to receive those summaries.
Right.
But I'm not aware that of any glitches further than that. That's a Rudy question. Rebecca, I don't know, you were telling me during break a little bit about a Blackboard question.
Yeah, and I think they're trying to clarify that for the for the contact. I noticed Stephanie had answered Con for that question. I've just heard that they're still trying to clarify that.
Okay.
With Jason. Yeah.
Right. So really important to just keep making sure that our parents have access to all of the information that they need. We are really moving into a new era because for so long we've had parents, and rightly so, rely on, I'm just going to get the flyer or the bulletin or whatever on hard copy. My child should have it in their backpack. And no longer. We're relying so much on digital tools, all of us, right? So any other questions that are popping up that you feel this is the time for me to answer them?
Actually, Tricia shared that she had been using her Yahoo email to receive her son's Google Classroom updates.
Perfect.
So thank you for sharing.
So some play and some do not. Okay. Great to know that. All right, so we're gonna talk about exploring some Google tools. So we know that our participants today we call them classified support staff because you are the front lines. You are there supporting both teachers and parents and students to get what they need. And all of a sudden this group has sort of had to merge a little bit together and join forces in order to make sure, especially during the first weeks of school, that people have what they need in order to function well under this new era of distance learning. And who knows how long that's going to be, right? We don't know. So we're kind of in it together. And again, just wanted to reiterate to you, first of all, how grateful we are that you are here today learning alongside us. We don't have all of the answers. It was funny when I heard Anita say, continue teaching. It's like, we're all kind of learning together, right? So we're growing together, and that's what should happen when we transform systems. So one of those transformation pieces is going to be relying on our Google Suite, what we call our set of Google tools that are available to us because we've had them all along. And now we're taking advantage of the fact that they work very well during distance learning. And so I don't want our library media techs to feel like, when is our turn to kind of hear something that's a little more relevant. You will also need to, as part of our school system, it's essential that you also understand what we're requiring of parents, and also what's required of teachers, because more and more we're trying to figure out how do we reinvent and enhance our current roles to make ourselves more effective and improve the way that we do business. And so going back to this idea of Google Tools, there are 3 things that we're just going to explore today. One of the commitments that Stephanie and Rebecca and even the ETI team have been talking about was this idea that today is just a broad overview. But as we move forward throughout the next few weeks and months, we see the need to embed some more professional development, some more training in each of these tools. So that today you get the overview, but later on, we are going to take it step by step and maybe take a deeper dive into Clever or a deeper dive into Google Classroom, and so on and so forth. But we thought we'd at least give you a broad overview of how these apply to your work today. So I wanted to share with you how impactful a Google Classroom could be, not just for teachers and students, but for maybe, coordinator, or in this case, your library, a school library. And so we have in the spring created a district virtual library. And it's up and running. If we get a moment, we'll explore it today. But I wanted to show you what this looks like in another district. So we're going to visit Miss Vanessa's library. She's at Madison Elementary in another school district. And I wanted to also challenge and hopefully get the coordinators inspired to think about, well, what if I wanted to have my own little, space? It doesn't have to be a teachable classroom, but see it more as a resource, an office, if you will, of resources, a hub for resources that you've always wanted to create for your community. And so in this case, we're gonna see if this appeals to the library media texts that are here today. We can certainly walk you through the process of creating your own functional school library while you are, in the distance learning world, just like all of us are. So I hope this works, but we're gonna go to Miss Vanessa's library at Madison. And you probably recognize the Bitmojis. There's a whole little app where you can play around with and add them to any of your Google tools. A lot of teachers at Garvey, you will notice, if you've seen, especially Yoko's, which I think is hilarious. If you've seen Yoko Abada's little Bitmoji, she's dancing around so you can animate them. But Miss Vanessa decided to use Bitmoji because some teachers or some school personnel do not feel comfortable showing their own face, their own person, but they also feel that making it into a cartoon character is a little friendlier to students as well. So this is something that is open to any of you to try. So Ms. Vanessa has a Google Classroom code. We're not even going to attempt to go into the Google Classroom through here because we're not part of that school district. That's one other thing that you need to know about the way that these things function is that, let me see if I can do this full screen, is that for whatever reason, only people that are in the system, oh, give me 1 second, sorry. Oh, they can't see it? Okay. So sorry, I was just told that you can't see. So maybe, Stephanie, if you can unmute yourself, I'm not sure what you're able to see and what you're not able to see?
Yeah, we're not able to see the slide. We just see the previous slides on the left.
Got it. So let me try to do this. Thank you for letting me know. Let me see if now you can see. Now can you see it? No? Yes? Yay.
Yes, we could see it now.
Okay. Thank you, Rebecca, for actually physically coming and knocking on my door. Otherwise, I would have kept on going. So I was saying that only if you have a gesd.us email can you join Google Classroom inside of Garvey School District. So we can't join Miss Vanessa's classroom here because she's part of another school district. But I wanted you to see that she even has like a little area where if you need to ask the librarian a question, she has it linked to a Google form. We're not going to ask her any questions today, but one cute thing that this librarian did, and she works at an elementary school, is she even embedded an Instagram lookalike little piece here. Social media in many school districts is not allowed, especially for the little young ones, things like Instagram, at least not pushed out through the district. But so she wanted to make sure that the kids felt like, oh, they have their own little, they're aware of this, like this, the symbol of Instagram. And so she has kind of a little news feed that she updates every so often, and she lets kids know, for example, what is the book that she's reading currently. And there's live links everywhere. Let me show you her virtual library. Hopefully we can click on it. Are you able to see the virtual library pop up? Okay. So here is a Google site, which we at Garvey have the ability to create. So the nice thing is that Google Sites, differently than Google Classroom, Google Sites are accessible outside of the district. So a parent with any email would be able to see any of these resources, including the library catalog. They have tumble books. She has some research databases. You're all familiar probably with the Khan Academy. Newsella is there. Educational sites like Kahoot. So what this might look like for, you can imagine for the it's more clear for the library and media tech at Garvey what something like this might look like and what we can help you build out. But we also wanted the community coordinators to really also think about what would my little space look like. Maybe I would have community resources there. Maybe I would have links to the public library, or virtual field trips or something like that. Maybe some links to council agencies that are can support families with counseling. Things like that you normally would be talking to a parent about anyway, especially during, I think, school closures. Parents need to feel like they have access to different things. So that would be something to think about. Here are some family tips and resources that Miss Vanessa has chosen to put up, right? Coronavirus, a book about the virus for children. She has some things that are bilingual. And again, just some kind of feel good, but also educational materials that are there. So that is something that I kind of wanted to show you. And let me go back. Are you able to see the main screen now? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so continuing on, this is something that you can do on Google Slides. She has this also embedded within her within her little library page. I think you saw it a little earlier. But this is really kind of neat because each of these icons are linked to her reading a book. So by the way, Miss Vanessa happens to be my niece. And she works in a different school district, and I'm trying to entice her to be our personal consultant, if you will, so that she could join us for some of the trainings. And she's like, well, if they want it, I will definitely walk them through it. And so if you're interested, please let us know in the chat if you want this kind of, just to kind of see what the process is like. I can definitely invite her and we can do a virtual training and all of us could end up with our own little, you know, Google Spaces. So tell me which one you want me to click on. You have to tell me. How about the pink hat? Let's see what that is. Are you able to see this coming up? Yes?
Yes.
Hi everyone, this is Miss Vanessa. Today I'm going to read The Pink Hat by Andrew Joyner. The AR level is 0.8 and the AR quiz number is 194635. First, there wasn't a hat. Then there was a cozy pink hat. That is until a cat grabbed the hat. It was a fun hat. A fun pink hat. That is until some children found the hat.
And I'm going to stop there. But you can see all of these things link to a book, and she changes them often. Here are some posters. And the posters, if you click on it, it should take you to the author's websites. And sometimes authors have like really wonderful websites of their own. These are very popular books. You may even recognize them. They have videos, they have things. This is another poster. I don't have the updated version of Player, but basically you get the idea. But it could be anything. Maybe your poster is, if you're a community school coordinator, you have a poster of a meditation practice, you know, what to do to calm yourself, breathing techniques. Or maybe it's a poster to the Asian Pacific Family Center, which we have many workshops that we're working on with them. And so maybe there's a recorded webinar or it takes them to their page. You can get very, very creative with that. So let's see.
Sorry,
yes.
I'm just thinking this would be very useful, especially for those sites that have dual language, because the students are not physically there to listen to the language that's not English. So that would be very useful. And then if you don't speak Spanish or you don't speak the language, guest speakers throughout the district would be great to have on there, or guest readers.
Great idea. She also has another little area where you can go into, and at their particular school, they have the initiative very similar to ours. The maker spaces, the coding is very big now. And so here she has her own maker space. It's a virtual maker space. And so she'll have Hour of Code. She's got like all these other cool little apps that you can link to support kids learning at home. So if you were remembering what the school schedules look like and judging from the amount of phone calls that we get from parents saying, what else does my kid do? Because when they're offline, You know, they want them to have paper and pencil, which, you know, sometimes we won't be able to deliver those packages. They don't have books sometimes, physical books, because libraries are closed. You know, in many places, our own, like, you know, school libraries are not functional right now. So neither are maker spaces. So what do parents do? So you can send them to your own space and have them click around and be interested in and engage in all of these other activities that can support their learning. So that's a little bit about what you can do as a support staff with your own Google Classroom. And again, if you're interested, please let us know and we will schedule something so that you guys can, you know, feel supported around that. Stephanie and Rebecca, anything that you want to add?
We do have some interest, so it would be a good idea to have a training. There was a comment or a question on the chat. If it would be limited to other sites, like for example, when you clicked on the author page, if it limits us, if we could go to another site, it says, because I've been blocked through the school web. So apparently the question, I guess, is if the GESD domain blocks any links to go to other sites.
It may, but the wonderful thing about you know, supply and demand here is if there's enough demand, usually ETI will work with you know, the people that they need to in order to unblock it. If it's deemed a safe site, then you're able to do that readily. Any other questions around?
I think there's another question from Annie and also Florida about the communication. As we mentioned earlier, it's a clarification. That would be ETI question for where the parent email or contact, I mean, where does it link to through parent link? Send the email or the contact number. And I noticed that some school sites were calling parents, trying to verify whether the father's contact is correct, mother's contact is correct, father's email, is that correct? Mother, I mean, this is the time that we're calling all parents, making sure that the contact, at least we have the list of the right contact, and then ETI will they're actually working on it with the issue that parents are saying that they haven't received anything from school or from district. So ETI is working on that. And, I'm pretty sure Rudy will let us know ASAP.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll write that down in our FAQ document so that we can get you the correct answer or what the progress is. Okay, next we have Rebecca. I'm going to turn it over to you to talk to us about Google Voice.
Okay. So are you going to, or should I share my screen or just use yours?
Whatever you want. Do you want me to give you access? Would you like to
yes.
access? Okay,
Yes.
so I'm going to stop sharing and now you can take over.
It says host disabled.
Did I disable you? I'm sorry. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Have it now?
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
So let me just go to my, okay. Okay, as many of our coordinator have probably already know about this Google Voice. And we have been using our Google Voice. I don't know, can we see some hands and I just need to see who had already set up a Google Voice and had been using it. Okay. Anybody else besides, I couldn't see, no?
Why don't we have everyone, first of all, Rebecca, if I may,
Yes.
let's do something very quick. We're gonna teach you how to do right on Zoom. If you click on your picture, find your picture on Google, your screen, you'll see if you point up, you'll see two buttons. One says mute and the other one has ... If you don't have your name on because you use an acronym or it says something very generic, we don't know, especially if we don't see you, who you are. So click on those three dots click on rename, and then put in your real name so that we have it for our records, first of all. Once you rename yourself, then let us know if you are put yes or no if you are using Google Voice.
Yeah. So we have been using Google Voice during school closure until now. So it is so simple for setting up. And besides, if you're going to call parents, they will not show your personal cell phone. They will show whatever the number you have set up with Google. And then you can send them text. Later on, I'm going to show you how that appears on my cell phone. And then you can send picture. You can receive picture, especially when parents are trying to explain to you what's in their screen. We can see it. So the best practice is to have them take a picture and send that picture over to you so that you can try to help them in solving their problem. Of course, to get a Google Voice, you have to have a Google account set up. We're just suggesting I'm sorry, Clarita, I have to use Bitely for the example. So if you can set up Gmail as your preference, this is what it's just an example. It would be better to set up another Gmail rather than using your personal Gmail. But of course, it's gonna ask for a phone number that you can link to. But then it's just when you first created a Gmail account or a Google Voice account. So in the beginning, you have to have a Gmail account in order to have a Google Voice. So this is the steps where you can go into, and then I have also have, this is like step-by-step. Browse using Google to search for Google Voice. And then this would be the link that you have to use for sign up an account with Google Voice. And they will ask you, okay, first of all, I would like to set it up on my computer first because it's much easier to set up using your computer. So click on personal use and click on web. And then here you go. Because I already have a Google Voice set up, I'm using Gmail that we have created for the Garvey PIA. So this is the screen that you'll be seeing. And then you can either make calls, you can call from your computer, and then you can get message, and you can even get a voicemail. So let's say if you can answer it and just forward it, you can either forward to your cell phone or you can just leave it as it is. So you can always go back to the voicemail and get the recording voice messages. So this is the setting that I have. It's just a step-by-step. So this is the Google Voice number. You have to, they will have a series of numbers for you to choose from. You can choose 626, you can choose whatever area code that you prefer, or the numbers that you prefer. You can always choose it. So this is all the settings I have. So, and I can also record my greetings. Greetings can be in different languages. For me, I had it recorded in Chinese. So when parents are calling, they know that they will be able to speak using their own language. And you can also filter the spam call. Okay, so this is something that I have, and then also this is how it appears on my cell phone. So I had the settings here. I can also choose to change my settings. Okay, so this one actually is similar than the one that I have set up. But of course, this is using my own Google Voice number that I've been using. The ones that I was showing you earlier, that's Garvey PIA. I haven't used that yet, but I could link my phone into 2 or more devices or phone numbers. So when parents are calling me, they won't be able to call they don't know that it's linked to my phone number, my mobile number, or my landline or my work number. So whatever number you want to link to, you can always forward the calls into call forwarding into any device that you have choose. So here I have forwarded into 2 devices. You can also, of course, link it to any account, Gmail account you have.
Rebecca?
Yes.
Sorry. It's one of the questions on the text box, and right now is a perfect chance to repeat it. If you could help repeat why we can't use our GESD email.
Why we can, okay. When I was trying to use it, I think there's I think technology have to lift, there are some settings with technology. So they're trying to eliminate the usage of the GSD. As well, right now, I know that maybe if, I don't know if this is a question for technology, that maybe they can do something. I don't know. We have to double check with technology and ask them.
We will ask. Right now it's disabled. You're not able to do it. And so it's just easier to set up the 2, well, and I don't know, Rebecca, that we made it actually clear, is that we actually, if you can go back, Rebecca, to the first slide where you have the emails, the Gmails, the new emails. I think it's the one, you just passed it. It's the one with the, how to set it up with the Gmail accounts,
Yeah.
the Bitly one.
Would it be okay if I chime in a little bit on that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So because of hacking into our emails and that kind of situations, our domain is limited. So they block some outside abilities to where we have to get permission from our technology office to be able to do some things with our emails. So this would be one of the situations where it's blocked for safety concerns.
Right. So we have all kinds of filters and things. So what we wanted to make clear is that we're actually encouraging you to not use a GSD account because email, because it's going to block out a lot of information because you're so limited through the school system. If you create your own Gmail account, then you can avoid all of that. And what it allows us to do is, if we know who Bitely 1 and Bitely 2 are, we know who Emerson 1 and Emerson 2 are as well. So that when people call us, because for whatever reason, they're calling the hotline, we're able to send you an email to your particular, whether it's a Chinese speaker or a Spanish speaker, we know which email to send it to refer it back to you. So if every school site has this set up, then it becomes consistent across the board.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to show you how my email was set up. I'm sorry, my Google Voice on my phone. So those are all the numbers that has been calling in, okay? Those are all my incoming calls from parents. And then this is the text that I've been sending out to my parents, to our parents, with picture, image. I can use whatever language you have here. And then you can also receive a text message from them. So there's so many ways. I think this is very convenient for me. And too bad Helena is not here, but she has also been sending all her Duff family using Google Voice, and it is very helpful. Yeah, especially during the distant learning time that we have. Communication, it's important. So I think this is, we encourage, if you need any support from us, let us know, and we'll be more than happy to help you to set up your account. Okay.
Okay, so any questions around Google Voice?
Yes, there's still confusion with having to make another Gmail account. So because we're not able to create a Google Voice with our Garvey email, even though it is a Gmail, that is why we are suggesting for you to create another Gmail just to be able to create the Google Voice account. You are not mandated to make one, but it's a strong suggestion. There was a question, if you're going to be on campus, do you need to create one? The reason is no. The purpose of this Google Voice is to have access for parents to call you, or for you to call parents when you're working outside of the campus. So when you're working from home. So if you're going to be working at your school site for the whole entire part of your working days and working hours, then there is no need to create one because you'll have your phone available.
Exactly. What's really nice about Google Voice, and why I love it, is I don't even use my phone. I don't have the phone version. I actually just do it right from my laptop. I can dial from my laptop. I hear the person. They don't have to see my face. But most importantly, they don't have my personal information. They don't have my personal phone number.
Okay, so I just have a question. So you're saying that because we're at Garvey Intermediate, Kathy Kahn and I, we will have to set up a Gmail account, each one separately from each other.
Yes.
And it won't go like into one bank. So like because I only speak English, so I would be like the English person, and Kathy would be like English/Spanish, and then Kahn would be like Chinese/English. Okay, just wanted to clarify. Thanks.
Yeah. So Trisha, you would be 1, and then the Spanish I guess Kathy would be 2, and then the Chinese speaker could be 3, or something like that. However you wanted to do that, or it could be, you know, English or Spanish, however you wanted to name your Gmail. The nice thing is that people can also send you their, you know, email their questions to that same address. So all of your stuff can be kind of like hubbed, you know, there.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes, a comment that was brought up by Clarita was that parents actually prefer texting sometimes, and I agree. I've had those parents where I call them and they don't answer, and then they text me. So I'll help them completely through text message, and sometimes I find it more useful. Even if the parent does end up calling me, I'll tell them, can I send you a text message with the link to, and then whatever they need. Like if they need a link to the videos we just went over, it's way easier to tell them, I'm going to text you the link where you could find them, as opposed to tell them, just go on the website and then go on this tab and then this tab, because sometimes parents can't navigate it very easily. So it's very convenient. Even if you're going to be at the school site, it has it's very convenient aspects to it.
Or if, Stephanie, if they were to say, how do I log into Clever? If you don't want to spend the whole time there, you just say, I'm going to text you the link to the video in Spanish.
Right. Yes, it's very, very useful, especially if the parent has their phone with them and all they have to do is just click on the link that you texted them.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, if you need help with any of these things, let us know. We will be giving you, we're committed to making sure that you feel comfortable. So we will hold our little workshops and clinics, trainings around each of these pieces as we go throughout the weeks. Which also we are not going to cover today, but another thing that we're going to do separately is to make sure that you update the new Google Sheets. Remember, we were doing pre-pandemic, we were doing the new communication logs. Everybody had their own. And now we're going to use a similar format. We're going to add some columns, probably some things on the drop-down menu, which are more about the new school year and things that we're doing for the distance learning era that we hadn't been doing before. So we're not going to do that today because we know, and we don't want to confuse you, we happen to know that you have been given instructions as to an outreach spreadsheet that you guys are also filling out. So we're gonna let you kind of work through that, continue using that, and then when we're ready to train you on the new version of the communication log that we want, and we may even find a way of just embedding it. We don't know. We have to talk to Anita about that first. But when the time comes, rest assured, we'll walk you through Google Sheets again. Okay? So, so if I may now share my screen. Any other questions, by the way, around Google Voice or any of the Google tools?
Hey, hi, this is Clarita.
Hi, Clarita.
Hi. I just want to clarify. I just sent Stephanie a private mail, but I already have my Google Voice, and on the spring, I already had created with my personal one, my personal Gmail. And the only thing that goes there is if I have any voicemails, but I always answer my parents either through my email or through text messaging. So is it okay if I just keep that instead of making another one? And it's just like a hassle. Okay, cool. That's all I needed to know. Thank you so much.
Where we are going to get at in the next week or so is once you've created your Google Voice, we are going to want to know what is that information so we can compile it and have a directory, if that makes sense. So, so that's pretty much it. If you already have one, don't worry about it. I love that thumbs up, Clarita. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to continue. There are a couple of ways that we want you to to make sure parents know that they can stay and should stay connected with Garvey School District. We are still confounded by the amount of calls that we are still getting around when does school start, when is my backpack schedule, you know, what is my child's. There's so many questions and so many ways of getting information. So here we put together the array. There's probably more, but the array of how parents can get connected. And you're free to use this slide or any portion of this PowerPoint if you wanted to put it on any of your, you know, like make a poster out of it or whatever. So the first one is obviously at the district website. This is the one I had just shown you, where parents, if they should be receiving an email, but we just discussed the problems, the many problems of a lot of people not being able to access whatever email they have on file. If they're not accessing that email, then they're not getting the information that Anita's office is sending. So the other way of getting that exact same information is by going to the website. And if they click on school reopening updates, they click on that area for up the communication, they'll find the latest letter. And that's what we need all of you to make sure that you're reading so that you stay up to date with whatever the current news is. And then we also have obviously the ability to email. We want to make sure that we close that loop, that if parents want to call the district, that's great. But oftentimes, especially during the spring, parents didn't know how to get in touch with their teacher. And so they would call us and we'd have to route all the way back. And so many of the questions were very much like, well, we don't know because we're not the teacher. We don't know what that assignment is, right? Or we don't know what the teacher said. The other questions were, what's happening at the site? When is this meeting or whatever? And so it was the principal that needed to answer that, or what have you. So we want you to remind you, to encourage parents to not feel shy about contacting the teacher directly or the principal. Obviously, if there's a language issue, of course, that's when you would step in. And then we still are going to operate our district hotline. So we are still taking those calls, those many calls, and it's still keeping us very busy. But we're hoping that now, as parents get used to all these other channels of information, that they're more encouraged to keep their questions really directed to the site. And then we have you, the school community coordinator, that we've also put there because you are a viable resource to them, as are, and a lot of people, turns out, they didn't know that our school offices were open for business. And so that could be, for a lot of different reasons, but mostly because they physically did not appear for parents driving by that they are open. So I know that the principals have been directed by Anita to ensure that they do everything possible at the sites to make it clear to the community that we are open. And so parents are able to call their school office and be able to expect their phone call to be answered. And so I'm looking at a person waiting, but it says student. So see, if you don't have your name in the Zoom box and it has a generic thing, like right now, there's a person trying to access the Zoom meeting, but it says student. So it's very important that when you join these Zoom meetings, please put your actual name, okay? So I removed that person. Hopefully they can join us later if it's the right forum for them. So sorry about that. It's what
Nora,
happens to you as a
Nora,
host.
quick question, quick.
Yes,
You have to
Becky.
remember, some people borrowed the laptop, so they log in under student. So when
Yes.
they're logged in, it says student. And I understand what you're saying. But a lot of the people, I'm not saying myself, but I know a lot of other people, this is something new for them, so they don't know how to. And I know you showed us how to use little dots, change our name. But if you didn't accept that person, how is she gonna know that she needs to change her name?
Yeah, no, she removed, that person removed themselves.
Oh, okay,
So I
okay,
don't
okay.
know, you know.
Or if it was
Yeah.
a school coordinator, they all have my number. A few of you text me letting me know, so that's why we communicate that way.
Yeah.
But hopefully it wasn't somebody.
Yeah, moving
I
forward,
know.
I mean,
Okay.
and then what I, you know, people when they show up, if it's not the right, you know, it's just a lesson. So I understand, but maybe we'll get better as we as we move forward, right?
Yes.
So, but thank you for the
Yes.
reminder of,
Okay.
and you know, we'll get better. That's all I can say. Okay, and so and then the last one is we want to encourage all of you to join us in, and we haven't updated our Instagram page in a while, but we do have one now, and it's at Garvey PIA. So we'll be updating that. Mostly it has our census, a lot of census and enrollment information. And we're going to touch on census just a little bit before we end today's presentation. So that's just a reminder. Okay, so let's see what else. Okay, now we're going to check in with each other. We've done a lot of talking. You've taken on like a lot of information. So what I'm going to do is every one of you is going to take, you know, a kind of have a little experience at creating a Google slide. Don't worry, take a deep breath. It's gonna be easy, I promise. So I'm just gonna check in with you, and what we're going to use is the plus delta tool. Plus means any like anything that is going really well so far, whether it's like you're feeling good about starting the year, you know, you know your school site has all the backpacks ready, like whatever it is. Maybe the library techs like have all their technology ready to go, whatever. And then the delta piece is what are those challenges that we are experiencing. So I have a link. If you all can see, let me stop. Or I don't know, can you see this slide where it says plus delta in white? Otherwise, I'm gonna stop sharing. You can see it? Okay,
Yes.
good. So I want you to know that I've sent every library media tech and every coordinator access to this slide. So if you go into your email, you can see that you have been sent an invitation to access here. And I see quite a few of you popping up already. So here are the instructions. Can you see the instructions or how is it going? Yes? Can you give me a thumbs up because I can't see all of you? Okay, good.
Yes.
So here's the instructions. You're going to duplicate slide number 2. Where's slide number 2? Here. How do you duplicate it? You go to slide, you duplicate it, and now the slide that pops up, I can now change and put my name, the name of my school here. When you do that, oh, we see a couple of people already doing it. You're going, here are the instructions. You create a slide for yourself. You name that slide. You don't have to put your name, just the school site. And you can, in the plus box, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to add all the things that are going well for you so far. And in the Delta box, add some things, you know, it doesn't have to be a long list. It could be like a couple of things that are presenting a challenging so far. It could be about the way that you're feeling. It could be about the way that you feel you're going to need some support. Maybe you're overwhelmed at something. So this is how we're going to check in with each other. And as a bonus, if you want to add an image from Google Images or something that illustrates how you're feeling about distance learning, you can add that there too. So any questions so far? We're going to give you about a good 5 to 7 minutes to do this. Oh, I see a lot of them popping up. All right, I'm going to mute myself and I'll let you get to work.
A question.
Question, Annie? No questions?
Oh, yes, question. I'm not sure what you mean by duplicate. So I just type it in?
So
Just
let
type
me
in.
do this again. So remember slide number 2 was blank. Or you can just duplicate. Is that you, Annie? I see you popping up.
No.
Okay.
No, I tried to fill it in earlier.
Okay.
So I just type it in.
Yeah, you type it in, but make sure that it's your own. So here's what do you see the little thing that's going up to slide? My little hand? Do you see it? You go up to slide. Did you see that pop up? Annie?
I think someone had duplicated slide number 1.
Okay, don't duplicate slide number 1.
Right now it's slide number 3 that you have to duplicate.
Now it's duplicate slide number 3. So duplicate is just go to slide, duplicate slide, and it automatically does it for you. And you just type away.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, we're going to do it a few minutes.
We have one of the coordinators saying she doesn't have access to edit, just to view.
Estefania?
Yeah, we have a few that say they could only view, not edit.
My issue is I keep on putting duplicate slide and then somebody else takes it.
So stop taking each other's slides. Stay nice.
Okay, we have.
Yes, don't. I'm gonna duplicate right now. Don't take my slide.
Okay, so Stefania says she closed it and it works when she opened it again. So if you're having trouble, try that, please. See if it works. Close that window and then reopen it again. See if hopefully that works.
We have.
Stephanie, I'm not able to do anything. Close it or nothing. Everything that I'm clicking, nothing clicks.
I second you, Mama.
Oh,
Same here.
You can't close that window.
I can't type anything. Everybody's typing in.
Everybody's taking each other's slides.
Everybody's
Stephanie,
typing
when
in.
you say close the window, what window?
That tab. So where you see that tab for that document, try closing it and then go back and open it again. Maybe it needs to be
write your name right away. Write your school name right away.
I'm going to refresh it. Let me see if that's something that.
Let's start from the beginning.
That yes, don't worry. This, you're having the experience of being in a classroom. This is what teachers will have to deal with.
Yeah, I'm still not able to.
Again.
So if you're not able to do the activity, don't despair. I don't know what. So Kathy and other people that are not able to do this, please let us know in the chat so that we can make sure that we'll send somebody to make sure that your settings are there correctly. Because everybody that I gave access to has editing access. So we don't know what might be going on with your.
Con, get off my screen, Con.
See, that's what I mean.
You're trying to delete all my stuff.
My temple one disappeared. Where's my temple one?
Okay, so everybody should have the same access. So if some of you are able to type, all of you should be able to type.
Okay, I'm gonna
Try resetting it
Well,
again.
I guess I don't know what I'm doing, Stephanie. That's why I can't do anything. So
Okay, let's stop typing. Let's all stop typing.
Maybe we
And
should
then
create
let's visit if we could all mute ourselves because there's a lot of noise. And
Sanchez has two.
let's remain calm. It's just a fun activity. All right, let's see what we have so far. I will leave this up, no worries. Let's visit the first one. So there's somebody created something in number 3 and then forgot about it, right? So I'm already on slide 3, and you know there it's blank. Slide 4 is also blank. 5, we got Sanchez, but nothing there. So then Bitely, and I can see if I hover over who's doing Bitely, it's Jean. And Jean is probably just thinking right now, what am I going to write? Okay, so do you see him popping up in the pink? I don't know if you can see his name. That's how you can tell that you are sharing a space with somebody and you wouldn't want them to. So if you hover over the little cursor, you can figure out who is adding information. Here we have Dewey. Yay, Dewey. They said their plus is that 90% of the parents are actually answering the phone calls. Yay. And parents are very happy to hear from us. The delta is that the kindergarten parents are feeling lost. By the way, we appreciate you telling us all of this because this is information for us. So please know that even though it was just a quick activity for today, we're going to leave it up to make sure that you have access to it. That's why we're saying if you have problems, make sure you let us know so we can get somebody to help you access. Because we want to make sure that you are letting us know. It doesn't have to be a long litany, laundry list of things, but what are, like, let's say 2 things that are going well and 2 things that are really, really on your mind that Stephanie and Rebecca and I need to go back to. Okay, so let's continue going. So thank you, Dewey. Emerson, they have a challenge. I can see Michelle was working on this, unable to connect with parents in person. We're missing their faces. I totally get that. Thank you, Michelle. We have Garvey Intermediate saying, still not sure what my job duties are. I'm in the dark. Okay, so we'll make sure that we talk to whoever is at Garvey. Let's see.
Laura, can I add something? Because I wasn't able to add the slide or do, but I'm at Garvey Intermediate.
Yeah.
I have a plus. My plus is that I've been able to communicate with a lot of parents and registered and help them open their email. So that's a plus for this year. And the Delta is just, for me, it's getting to teach the parent how to use their email. Because like I'm helping them over the phone and creating their email. So now it's just getting the habit and telling them to check it regularly. So I'm enforcing that today. So hopefully this school year, I'm able to challenge, make them learn that email is going to be very important for this school year.
That's great. Thank you, Kathy. We appreciate what you're already doing. By the way, one of our goals is also to host our parent involvement academies. We're going to have a digital literacy course. We invite you to also join them if you want to learn more about how to support your parents. But Kathy, you're exactly right. Sometimes for us, we're thinking Google Classroom, but for parents that have never been engaged in they don't need email for any other reason, right? If you want to talk to somebody, they pick up the phone, right? So we know that we also need to create workshops or little videos similar to the Clever videos, which I think you guys would feel helpful if you could just send a link with a little video saying this is how you set up a Gmail account. Step by step, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Bitely Clarita. Oh, thank you for adding your name. Woo, look at Clarita. She added a Bitely Bear. Communication is good, but they're having a hard time with enrollment. We know that our enrollment numbers are down, so I know that that's hard. Let's see what's going on with Hillcrest. Continue adding, you guys. You know, this is going to be open until for the next couple of days. We'll check it again on Friday. So again, we're looking at this as kind of a meter to help Rebecca and Stephanie and myself figure out what can we support you with. If you add your name, because I know that there might be two of you at Garvey, or if you just want to do one team one with your names up at the top, it's all Garvey. You can just do the one side if you wanted to do that. It's up to you. Hillcrest librarian Rosa is still missing materials for the students. Obviously, that's something that we can help you with. And speaking of that, I want to speak directly now to the as you continue working on this, library media text. Speaking of, you know, people being confused about what is my role now? I think it's a lot clearer for the community school coordinator because their front lines always have been in terms of supporting parents. But the library media tech role is obviously your focus is still supporting teachers around technology. Then what do you do if a lot of them are home, right? It more gravitates towards ETI and what they're doing to support access for the teacher at home, make sure that they have all that technology, everything. But then you are also a library person, your library staff, which is why we're thinking, and I've talked to Anita about this and to Rudy, the new ETI director, as well as Tiffany, who is my boss for LSS. And we're talking about how can we work together to really help evolve a little bit the role of, in this case, the library media tech. Because there are no kids right now in the schools. So what do we do? And we're having to rethink, by the way, how do we engage other support staff? New aides, for example, people that are used to, their job depends on being around kids. And so for the library media tech, what we are going to do is we're gonna, why you're here today, as well as not just to get to know us a little bit better, but we are going to be working with you, you know, this year a little more closely, not just to support your efforts for creating virtual libraries at your site that teachers can send their kids to, right, which would be really nice. But we also want to really shore up a piece that has been on our minds for the longest time, which is instructional materials sufficiency. We have, you know, and I've talked to a lot of the principals oversee you, but we also know that it varies site by site what percentage of time is dedicated to each of these things. You're really going off of whatever the principal needs. And so there's not a whole lot of uniformity in some cases, and the principals are asking for help to provide training and centralize some of that direction effort from the district office. And so Rudy and I have been talking about what that might look like. So you'll see Rudy and I invite you to separate trainings from the coordinators, of course, but we wanted to just let you know that we will keep you in the loop and support you, especially with regards to, get ready for this, we have instructional materials. Luckily at Garvey we have, and I think Olivia can hear my voice because she's with Rebecca. Is she there? Rebecca, tell her to come over and say hello to us. Let's see. Look, you're all gonna see Olivia, who is my fabulous secretary. Hi, Olivia. Hi, Olivia. Can you see us? Come and say hello. Come over and say hello. Olivia, I was just telling our library media techs how much work we have ahead of us in terms of instructional materials. So Olivia here that you see is the queen of getting people the materials, instructional materials that you need. So we need to applaud her. Thank you, Olivia, for all the hard work. But one of the things that I was saying that we need to do with our library media text is to inventory our instructional materials and reconcile what we have in actuality today versus all the stuff that we had last year that may, in some cases, have gone home in the spring, and those books may not have been returned yet. And so for those teachers that want to send home an ELD book or a math book or something that is, hard copy, if they want to send that home, they should have their complete set. But if they haven't asked the student from last year to return it, what's happening is they're going to start asking Olivia to buy a new one. And we don't have a whole lot of money, do we, Olivia? So I think what we're saying is we're going to have to reconcile. And so luckily we have mostly a digital curriculum. Olivia, thank you. You can go. I just wanted to give you kudos because I know you work very, very hard at making sure that each site has what they need. And so library media techs, what we're going to start doing is to start looking at ways of becoming more efficient as a system so that every book, hard copy book that comes your way or is currently at the site that is a viable curriculum, its current curriculum, core curriculum, that it is properly scanned in and out. And the beautiful thing about having time right now with distance learning is that there's nobody really at the schools to kind of distract you from doing the probably very tedious job of making sure that we put in, that we know what we have, because we don't have a ton of money to be buying new stuff. So I won't say any more than that, but just know that that is something that we can anticipate. Okay, so you can continue working on this on your own. We'll check back on the Plus Delta on Friday. And then next time that we meet with you, which by the way, I think coordinators, we're gonna be meeting now more often than ever. So we are gonna now take some questions. First, let's see if there is any in the chat, and then we have a few more minutes, and then we can take some live questions. Any in the chat that we need to?
Question.
Yes, Annie.
Hi.
Hey.
Oh, before I forget, this is about re-registration. When I work with, parents last week on working, to confirm the data, there's a part for parent policies. So when I help the parent to go through the documents, there's only English still, but I don't know, has it been fixed since then? Sometime last week, early last week or mid last week, I don't remember exactly. So do you know if anybody fixed it? Because if they open it and they don't see the language, they don't know what to do. What we do is just close it and it's okay, So do you know anybody knows?
I suspect that that's an SSS question. Rebecca or Stephanie, do you know if it's been updated? But we'll put it down, Annie, so that we can get to
Annie,
it.
when you do the Aries with the parents, are you able to, do you do it in Chinese or whatever language? Or do you start it in English?
The Aries?
When you do the parent portal, Do you start it off in English or do you start it off in a different language?
Oh, maybe I did
Because
English. Maybe that's why.
if you do it in English, everything's gonna pop up in English. But if you do it in a different language, it should pop up in that language.
Oh, okay.
I know we're
That's
helping
good.
them and we do it in English, but sometimes we do it in English because it's easier for us, but it's there for parents. So if they sign in as an age like Chinese, everything's gonna be Chinese. If they sign in Spanish, everything's gonna be Spanish. So I know we do it
Oh,
to
okay.
do it in English is because it's easier for us. But if you do it in their language, it should pop up in their language.
We have a special guest here.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
We have a
Is she
special
Hi,
guest,
Van.
Martina.
Oh, Martina, I thought it was Van because of the short hair. Hi,
We,
Martina.
we have all kinds of special guests today. Thank you. Thank you for that. Martina, do you want to, Annie, why don't you tell your question again so Martina, our special guest, can answer.
Let me share the screen.
Oh, just to confirm, you know, when we work with parents on data confirmation, when we use the English, all the parent policies are only in English, right? And if the parent uses the Chinese or Spanish or Vietnamese, would it pop up their own language? Because I don't use the Chinese part sometimes. It's easier for English. For me. I can't hear you.
Can hear me? Wait.
I can't hear you.
Okay, for data confirmation, I don't get involved, so I don't know. I don't know the answer, but I believe other languages are upload for parents to click, and that language will pop up when they choose that language.
Oh,
yeah.
So Annie, we'll get back to you. Is there any question for Martina since we have her here?
I'm wondering if she's able to answer the question for the emails.
Are you talking about parent link and an email?
Yes.
Number? Okay, I want to bring out the Aries contact page, or actually from demographic. Right now, we don't have an answer yet because Jason, our technician or consultant, is checking against the parent link, the vendor, to find out where the data is supposed to come from. And very embarrassed. For years, it seems like the program is set from years ago, but there were changes that nobody kind of paid attention to it until now. We kind of put all the puzzles together. So let me show you Aries. Okay, so from demographic, we used to use down here with the primary phone. Can you see it? Yeah, okay. Primary phone and then email. But these two fields are obsolete. We don't use it anymore because parents or office managers have to choose one to enter here. So this is like manual labor, and it's not up to date. Whenever there are changes, they are being changed in contact table, not in demographic. So, but unfortunately, when you look at contact, the top display is displaying here. So it's a little confusing. Contact. This profile is showing the profile. Yeah, it's so here is what we supposed to pull from. This is the relationship. This is the phone number, and that's the email address. The problem is if you were reading the list I generated for the office managers for you guys to call home, we actually brought out at least two contacts because we don't know if
is the mother or the father that you guys need to contact and clarify. And that's why Aries decide not to use the one from demographic, because we have single family, we have father only, or we have other relationships. So if I open up, I guess I cannot open up. If I open up a contact page inside, there's also the contact order. One means the first one to contact, so that means primary. Unfortunately, when parents register the kids, they fail to enter that, so it becomes a default value of 0. So if we ask for the primary, it may not be accurate. And parents also put in a different email address compared with the primary. So it's hard to really bring in a single contact for a student. So right now we need to really get into the bottom of it, find out if we are choosing the parents that lived with, the kids that live with the parents, or the contact, which is number 1, or just the first record, or the mother. So it's very, yeah, if we can get multiple, then we get 2. But if we need to run a query of a student with 2 guardians, then you will see duplicate records. And that's what you are going through with your list, okay? So the answer is, I still don't know, but I want you to get into a little detail so you understand what I meant. And a lot of time when we open up any tables, this one on display is what we rely on to call. Unfortunately, they may not be the same. This case, it's the same. But if nobody kind of follow through with from demographic, which if for example, a 6th graders, this entry may be from 7 years ago. All right, so if we whoever sent out parent link, I think we need to review the error reports so we can find out more what's going on and what actually is better for us to catch or maximize our contact. So I will let you guys know the school site and whoever really get involved in parent link. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Martina.
Okay.
Martina,
So,
can I cut in for a quick question?
Sure.
No, for the contact sheet, there's a contact sheet. I mean, for under contacts on Aries.
Yeah.
There's a email on top, parent email. Are you saying that's the email that most likely districts send emails to?
No, that's exactly the opposite. So
opposite.
The one on top is display from demographic for easy access. But if we open up contact, that should be the most current one for parents to re-register every year and update it every year.
Oh, we can't hear you. I can't hear you too well. I mean, not clear.
Okay.
Can you repeat?
The one display on top is not what you are looking for. That's why I open up the contact table. Some examples that Rebecca is pulling right now will show you some differences. Some happen to be the same if they still, pick the same number from years ago when they first enrolled their kids.
So you're saying it's under demographic, the tables, that's the one that still being used for sending emails?
No, it's the opposite. No, not from demographic.
How about from contacts?
It's from contacts.
Yeah, that's what I mean, from contacts.
Yeah, so the one
that's on top?
No, the one display on top is from demographic that we don't use anymore.
Okay, what I mean is the one in the contact section.
Yeah,
on
then
top of
that's not
contact.
the top. So the top is for display. The one under contact tables by the guardian's name, those are individual records by the relationship of the student with this person. So from this example, you see, father is the first record, while the previous one, the mother was the first record. So every parent has a preference who they want to be the primary, but not every parent understand that part. So in case you guys are helping out parents to enroll a student through AIR, that's something pretty critical. We can ask them, so do you want this as your primary? And the order of the contact will be number 1. Okay?
We don't, for us, we don't have that table in the areas. We don't have that. So it's gonna be difficult for us
when
to
we go
look
back,
into
I
that.
will ask Lupi Mesa to include, to add contacts for you guys to view. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
So that contact section is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Martina and Rebecca, but I think that contact section is when we're helping parents register. When we have that screen to verify who do we call in case of an emergency, that's where these contacts come from.
Supposedly, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Right. So as the for coordinators, we don't have that yellow box. We only see the parent email under the yellow box. So is that one the one that is being used?
Well, open up another table.
The yellow box is that student is no longer in that school. So
Thank
if it's a yellow box, it's that student's no
Inactive.
longer, it's inactive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, but we don't see that yellow box.
No, because you have all active students.
Oh.
Don't see the yellow box.
And that information is under demographics. So when that bar on the left, you see where it says profile and demographics, is the same information under demographics.
Yeah, demographic is the main page. That's why whenever you open other tables, the demographic is displayed. But like I said, unfortunately, it's obsolete on these two fields, but we still use it. So it's up to the site. If you think you want to update that for display, then that needs to be done in like a timely and regular basis. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I think we need to add the contacts for the school community coordinators, and you take a better look, especially when you call parents, because that's your first hand. You want it in front of you to see the difference, and you can ask, oh, so which number, which emails more for you? Or like this example, I also want to bring out the phone number. Like these two are the same at the bottom of like no at the like for the mother, it shows phone number and cell phone, which are the same. Again, parents sometimes just enter the phone number and fail to fill in the cell phone. If we send text message, then definitely it's from cell phone. So I'm also working on that as one question to the vendor. Do we have to populate that? Because we cannot assume the first number is just the cell phone. How about if they still keep the landline? So this contact, this parent links, this all these data are getting complicated more than you think.
Okay, thank you, Martina. We may have to have a separate workshop with you.
Yes, right. Once we find out, it will be for all of us.
Yes, but I think, first of all, how lucky that you were just walking by for you, right? Lucky you, because we know that this is vital information, and we already uncovered some things, and probably very soon we'll be inviting you to have just a conversation around all things Aries and friendly. Okay, so thank you, Martina. We applaud all of your efforts as well. I mean, we're gonna close because we are coming to an end. And this is how we're going to take the final attendance by doing an activity. And it's called the blob tree. And if you can see all these little blobs on a tree, this is a way that a lot of classrooms, a lot of, it could be in a doctor's office or something. But the nice thing are that about these blobs are that they have these numbers and they all have a different expression. So where on the tree, if the tree were to represent distance learning right now and the school year as it is presenting ourselves, the question for you that you should type in your chat box, number one, give us your name and your school. Which number do you relate to right now? If you were one of these blobs, which would you be? Put a name, and then in one little sentence, explain why. And that'll be your exit ticket out. When you are done, you are free to go. We just want to thank you for your time. We're here to support you. We will have more meetings coming up, more communication, so please be on the lookout for that. We wish you a wonderful new school year. And we are going to hang out for another 5 minutes or so beyond the 11 o'clock time. In case you have any questions for us, we'll stay on.
There's a question on the text box, Laura. Wondering if you could answer it. They're asking about temperature checks, if they're going to be done at the school sites when everybody returns back.
I believe that they are. Right now, you can still, it was a little of a long line today at the district office. But I believe that the principals and some of the office staff will be trained on how to take temperature and do the reading. So it's a quick process, but yes, they're going to have them at the school sites. Any other questions?
I just wanted to reiterate a comment I made on the text box earlier. Also, we focused a lot on the school coordinators reaching out, but I've seen some of the library technicians reaching out throughout the summer as well, and reaching out to not just the students, but the parents and answering questions. So just wanted to make sure that we thank everybody as well.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, everybody. And library and media techs will be getting to know each other better too. Rebecca, did you have any parting?
One quick question. Usually every year the L4U, the library system, is behind transferring the students over. I know I read some comments saying that the L4U was not up. So if it's not up and running, how are we supposed to scan the books out to the students?
That's a good question. My understanding is that it is up, that we still have the license and we still pay for that system.
But
the problem is,
when I was trying to scan last week, all the dates that was assigning to it were dates that passed. It was June 10th. And so Lupe was trying to fix it, and I couldn't. I was only in 2 days last week, and she was texting me and she's like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm not in, I can't check." And so I'm not sure if it's up or not.
Right.
So, and they just have to go out on Thursday and Friday.
So what I was going to say is that exactly that Lupe and we've been having this conversation, and we do know that there needs to be a bit of an overhaul before we expect anybody to have accurate records. And so, I talked to the vendor behind L4U in the summer, and their customer service support was, it's not a product that is, part of their bigger kind of package. And so for whatever reason, they don't have like actual live support. What they have are videos. So Lupe and I still have a conversation pending around what does that look like. So again, just to reiterate, right now for this year, because we are almost 100% digital for the core curriculum, we do not expect to be out of compliance with textbook sufficiency. We expect, because of the digital platform, that we're going to be fine. What we don't have that is digital is for the elementary history, social studies. We have word text, but we have all of that. So that's going to be going home. We also, as I mentioned, have a lot of unknowns. We have books that probably went home, maybe with 8th graders that are no longer with us. We maybe have people that moved away. And so the central office has no idea what went home on March 10th. Right? And so we don't know if kids never came back, or if the school side didn't retrieve those books or had a system to collect them back. They are possibly still at home somewhere. So that's why we're saying we need to first take care of making sure that we have all of the materials that we say that we have before we start cleaning up the system and creating all the updates. So it's going to take a little longer time. Actually, the school closure part, the physical closure part, is working in our favor because we'll have time to be able to do all these pieces.
Yeah, but all the books will be out. For us, it's required that they have a hard book, so we've been giving them out. I mean, we're going to be giving them out. There's no way for me to scan it when it's out, so I don't know. Luckily I didn't get books back to scan, so I'm just like prolonging that. I'm gonna, once it's up, just prolong the date to the teacher. But that's not
letting us know, Trisha, because that is something that we can discuss with Lupe. I did not know that the system was down. I know that it hasn't been like made current, right? But it's good that you're telling us this, because you're right. It's the intermediate folks that may want to send home those copies. But again, hopefully we have what we need, the inventory that we have, and that we're scanning them. If not, if there is a backup system, right? Even if you have to write it down or whatever you have to do in the
there's
meantime.
2 days
But we know
and
that there
650 something books that are going
right
per,
know,
per class.
Right. And it's different at every site,
Yeah, it is.
Elementary level, I happen to know that some sites, it was just like, we didn't even scan them in. They're like, went in and went out. So that's why I'm saying we're going to take our time. This year we're going to be fine, but I know that it's more urgent for some sites than others. So we're going to take a deep breath and we're going to work through it. We know that it's not going to be perfect. Okay. But we're happy, Trisha, that we'll have people like you kind of join, that we'll have a new little community because I know sometimes you guys must feel a little isolated too, that you don't have, a centralized training ongoing so that you know which direction to take. So, but we're aware of that and we're going to make sure we improve that. Okay. Anybody else that wants to? If not, we again wish you a happy rest of the week, and we're here to support you. Have a good one.
When is our next meeting? Can I ask?
We don't know yet.
So
we'll be discussing.
Oh, we don't know yet?
We don't know yet because we want to give the principals time to settle. And if they need you, they're going to be pulling you, right? So you're not going to hear from us as far as a formal meeting for about a week or so, and then we'll let you guys know. But we know we have a lot of things to discuss, DLAC, support, a lot of stuff.
Yes, and we're available if you have any questions, concerns, or you need clarification. Most of you have my cell phone number. All of you have my email address. So please reach out if you need help from here until we set out the schedule.
Okay, we're saving all your chat questions and we'll be reviewing them. Again, have a good week. We're going to end the meeting now. Bye, everyone.
Bye.